be ridiculous, aren't they? Wait on.
And it's a very good morning to the Gelding as we return to the metropolitan area. Gelding racing at Sandown today, so we're back away from the provincials, but no public transport trains to Sandown. That can't be good.
Good morning, Professor. Good morning, listeners. Professor, I join you with the Sportsfan Radio's hat, but I was going to keep it for tomorrow.
Well, you keep it for tomorrow, Gelding. I've gone early.
You've gone off early, haven't you? Yeah, good to see racing back in the city, Professor. And I understand you are thinking about popping out to see it because it'll be on your train line, wouldn't it, Professor?
Yes, it is on my train line, Gelding.
But what's the problem? No trains.
No trains. I can catch a bus if I like, but if I leave now, I might get to Sandown before the second last race.
Oh, Professor, you make me laugh. You do. Oh, dear. Can this be brought up maybe later on, Professor, in our Idiot of the Week?
Our new segment.
Our new segment. Well, it's Christmas, isn't it? It's December. People would want to get into the city, Professor, you would think, for shopping and business and, you know, the big push to get people back into the city. You're in the population growth area. Let's have no trains running. Let's make them all drive in or sit on a bus for 3 hours or, I don't know, Professor. Have I got it wrong, or is the world gone mad?
Well, the big build, Gelding, the big build.
Yeah, how long's the big build been going, Professor?
Years.
Years. Will it continue on for years?
Well, Gelding, I used to be an avid public transport traveller on trains from where I am. Not now. I'll drive everywhere because the train schedule is so mucked up, and you never know whether trains are coming or going. Now, Gelding, we had a function last Tuesday night that I drove to.
So did I, Professor.
Simply because the big build meant that I would have had to catch a bus back from the city to where I live, and I would have got home at about 1 o'clock in the morning rather than drive and get back at a reasonable time, like about 11:30.
Now, Professor, I live 15 k's from the city, and the venue was about 4 k's from the city. The other side,
not even that, Gelding.
2. So yeah. I had to travel a whole 17 k's, an hour and 15 minutes.
Yeah,
I'd allowed 45 minutes to travel 17 k's, but yeah. Well, anyway,
we sound like grumpy old men, Gelding, and we probably are.
We are, but you think all the Christmas functions that'll be on in the city, Professor, they're always early December. People are supposed to be responsible, so they catch public transport home. What do they do now? Allow 2 hours to get home,
at least.
You know. Anyway, we are grumpy old men, Professor.
All right, Gelding. Well, it's Hillside Track at Sandown today. The track's rated a good 4. The rails in the true position. Well, at least they got something right.
I tell you what, I don't know what's going on. A Saturday meeting, Metropolitan, rail in the true position, on a track rated a good 4. Jockeys and trainers say it's probably one of the best racing surfaces in Victoria. We've ignored it for weeks and weeks and weeks and weeks, but they have a meeting there on Wednesday and then back up again on a Saturday.
Oh, well.
So anyway, Professor, looking forward to a good day's racing.
9 races on the card, Gelding. The feature race, believe it or not, is race 5. The Tile Importer Handicap, a benchmark 100 over 1,600 metres for $150,000. Gelding, why is the feature race not in the quadrella?
Very good question, Professor.
Oh, we've started off with a couple of zingers this morning, Gelding.
Very, very good question, Professor. Why would you have a benchmark 100 and not have it in the quaddie, or not be the first leg of the daily double.
Somebody obviously, whoever was selecting the pattern of the races, Gelding, the numbers, obviously got it wrong. But, far be it from us to be critical of the Melbourne Racing Club. All right, let's...
Is that their name, is it?
No, it's the VATC, and we know what that stands for, Gelding.
Yes. Very amateurish.
All right, Gelding, what are your two best bets for Sandown today?
Well, Professor, as you know, I sent you an email last night, and look, I hope I'm not going overboard on this horse, but I think the bet of the day is in race 5, which is the highest rated race on the day, a benchmark 100, Professor. Look, I like Detonator Jack, race 5, number 6. Beaten last up by Green Fly, which is in this field, Professor. But look, I know I went off a bit early last night saying Detonator Jack could be the ideal horse next season for the Caulfield Cup. I think it's the Mar Eustace team has got it. This is a horse I would love to own, Professor. 6 starts, 4 wins, a second and a third. We're on it when Greefly just popped it at Ballarat last start, when I don't think the jockey actually saw Greenfly on the, right up hard against the fence for Professor. So, look, I'm going to follow Detonator Jack, and it's a horse I'm going to continue to follow. Trained by Mar Eustace. Johnny Allen's been replaced, and Harry Coffey hops on board. In this 100 benchmark, Professor, it drops to 54 kilos. Green Fly's also in the race, but having a look at the form, Professor, I like the fact that Detonator Jack's coming back to Sandown, a track that will suit it. On a good track, Professor, Detonator Jack has had 3 starts for 2 wins and a third. And Green Fly has had 1 start for a third. So I'm just wondering whether Green Fly last start, which was a heavy 8 at Ballarat, Green Fly may like the sting out of the ground, and I think the good track could be a good thing in Detonator Jack's pocket, Professor. And Harry Coffey's riding the Mar Eustace horses very well. So again, Professor, I'm looking at this as probably being a bet of the day for us, race 5, number 6. My second tip, Professor, race 8, number 10, Ride and Rose, trained by Peter Moody, ridden by Luke Nolan. Last start, 4th, again on a heavy track, Professor. And what I like about Ride and Rose, returns on a good track where it's had 2 starts for 2 wins. Second up, it's had 2 starts for a win. Peter Moody, Luke Nolan, the combination's back and firing. So that'll be my second tip of the day, Professor. Race 8, number 10, Ride and Rose. What do you like, sir?
Just on that race 8, Gelding, I see one of my favourite horses is running also, trained by the local trainer, Phil Stokes, Savannah Cloud, who's in pretty good form.
That's a danger, Professor.
Yeah, you didn't consider that one?
I did. We had a look at it. As you know, I do like Savannah Cloud. I just like this, second up.
Ride and Rose better.
Yeah, well, I think Savannah Cloud likes a bit of a, if it was a slow track, Professor, I think the tips may be round the other way. But the fact it's a beautiful day out there, and I'm sure the Sandown track will be superb.
Yeah, well, excellent, Gelding. Okay, so my selection's going a little bit earlier than you, Gelding. Race 4, the Thoroughbred Club Australia Handicap, a benchmark 70 over 1,600 metres. I like in that horse, Gelding, race horse 8, Tasman Park, out of Barrier 8. It's had 2 wins from 2 starts, so 100% win and place rate. A little bit of homework there, Gelding. Side by Ocean Park,
Yes, we've had one of them.
From Waikato Stud.
Waikato Stud, yes.
Yes.
Bit of a contact there. Yes.
Yeah. And
Del Rios, of course, come from Waikato.
You said in the warm-up that the horse that we had probably not as good as Tasman Park.
Yeah, I think that's a fair call, Professor. I think we got the Dud Ocean Park.
Oh, dear. Look, Gelding, it's one, it's only two.
Good morning to Wiley. Del's here too.
There you go.
Yeah.
It's one, it's only two races. It's one at the track, although it was the lakeside track. The only doubt I've got, Gelding, is something that you said earlier, which also rings true with me. It's one on a heavy 9 and a soft 6. So I'm just hoping that it doesn't like the sting taken out of the ground to run at its best.
Yeah.
We haven't seen it run on a good 4 yet. So this will be the test. Jamie Mott's in the saddle with a 13% career win rate. Michael Moroney in career form at the moment, Gelding.
Magic man at the moment.
18% over the last 50.
He's a magic man at the moment.
And for each way betters, I'd suggest get on now, because fixed, Gelding, you can get $6.25 and $2.
Oh, a nice each way bet for a horse that's undefeated, Professor.
That's right. That's right. All right, my second selection, Gelding, race 6, the market control handicap. A benchmark 78 for fillies over 1,400 metres. And I like in this race, Gelding, horse number 9, Life Lessons out of barrier 2. And we all like to learn some life lessons, wouldn't we?
Professor, I do. Maybe, the VATC could learn some. And put race 5 at race 6.
Gelding, they'll never learn.
Yeah.
4 races, Gelding. I like the form in this one too. It's only lightly raced so far for 2 wins and a placing. So a 50% win rate, a 75% place rate. It's won its last 2, including at the track. It steps up in class, but it's won over the distance. So I like those things. It's also showing $4.60 and $1.85, which I like, Gelding.
Some beautiful each way punting there, Professor.
Daniel
Some
Stackhouse.
value to our parlays.
Yes, exactly. Daniel Stackhouse in the saddle, Gelding. He's in career form. 11% over his career, but 18% over the last 50. And Peter Moody, you mentioned him before, 18% for the career, but 22% over the last 50. So he's also in career form. So my 2 bets, Gelding, race 4, horse 8, Tasman Park, and race 6, horse 9, Life Lessons.
I like him, Professor. Feeling a bit of confidence about today.
Yeah, so am I. The good weather's back, and so are we, I think, Gelding.
Yep.
All right, the Professor's Parlay. The Professor's Parlay, Gelding.
Oh, the very, very successful Professor's Parlay.
I've renamed it to the would-be successful Professor's Parlay if the jockeys turned up to ride the horse properly.
Well, Professor, if some of the listeners are taking the horse bet as a place into your second and third selections,
yes,
it'll be fantastic. But even our rate, Professor, during the spring carnival and forward, we've still done fairly well this year with the successful Professor's Parlay.
Yes, granted, Gelding, we have.
So
looks like
I like it.
I'll say this to punters, Gelding. Looks like Elvis for a third last week was a good thing beaten. The jockey ran it into a wall of horses in the home straight. It didn't get out until the 100 metres, Gelding, and it trailed the eventual winner all the way to the winning post. So if it had been able to get out and hadn't been pocketed, then we would be talking a different thing.
Professor did a bit of study back on the Pakenham races last week, and in these races up to a mile, if you weren't in the top 3 at the 400 metre mark, you didn't win. There was 2 horses that come from 5th and 6th in the thing, but they were basically there. Of the 7 races up to a mile, 5 of them, you had to be in the first 3 at the 400 metre mark, otherwise you didn't win.
Yep.
So that's what we talk about, bias of the tracks. Of course, we can't comment on what the track will run like today, but they're the things that sometimes when you look back, there can be reasons. So you're looking, the winner of that race was third at the top of the straight and went clear, while Craig Williams had looked like Elvis running, looking for a way through a wall of horses. So it shot through. And as you said, even though the winner won by 4 lengths from Look Like Elvis, that was done. All that damage was done at the top of the turn when Craig Williams couldn't get a run, and the jockey went. So, also for the listeners, that's pattern of racing, So have a look at that.
Yeah. All right, Gelding. Well, I'm going to rename my parlay the meatloaf parlay, because
you're going to break into song.
Yeah, because Gelding, the last 4 Professor's parlays, 2 out of 3 ain't bad.
Well, and as I said, Professor, if you're taking the horse leg as a place bet, you would have what, 3 out of 4 or
at least, yes.
Yeah.
All right, today's Professor's parlay. Let's go for the agreed bet between you and I, Gelding. Race 5, horse 6, Detonator Jack. I think that's the best bet. Certainly at $1.65. It may well start a little bit more generous terms than that, but it's $1.65 at the moment. And let's parlay that into the Dallas Cowboys at home playing the Houston Texans in the Battle of Texas.
Battle of Texas.
Yeah, the Dallas Cowboys have been very good, Gelding. They're number 3 in the NFC conference at the moment. They've won 9 from 12. They've got a plus 127 points differential, and they should beat the Houston Texans, who are 16th in the AFC. They've got a minus 99 points differential, Gelding. They've only won 1 game for the season. So there's an over 200-point difference between those 2 teams.
Wow, that's sensational, Professor. I do like the parlay today. I know it's going to be short, but it could be sweet, Professor. What odds are we at?
2-1, Gelding, 2-1, and we'll parlay those 2, Detonator Jack and the Dallas Cowboys, into the Kansas City Chiefs to beat the Denver Broncos. The Kansas City Chiefs rated 2nd in the AFC. They've won 9 from 12, a plus 80 points differential. The only reason we're getting $1.21 for the Kansas City Chiefs, Gelding, is because they're playing at the Denver Broncos Mile High Stadium, who have been very disappointing. 15th in the AFC, minus 38 points differential. Only won 3 out of their 12 games so far. So I'm pretty confident with the Kansas City Chiefs. So it's Detonator Jack into the Dallas Cowboys into the Kansas City Chiefs at 2-1.
Oh, Professor, I like it. I think it's back. I think next week we'll be talking about a very successful parlay.
Well, we can only have
a small but sweet one, Professor.
Exactly, Gelding. All right, Gelding. Well, that's all for today. We have Sportsfan Radio tomorrow, the last show for 2022, and we'll have a bit of a break. And looking forward to talking sport. Certainly, Cooter and Daligan were in form at our meeting on Tuesday night, and boy, oh boy, if they can produce the same form tomorrow, we might have to put the X rating up. The X rating up.
The X rating up, Professor, in a 3-hour show, I think. Right? The way they both took off, didn't they?
Oh, goodness gracious. It was the quickest 4.5 hours I think I've ever put in, Gelding.
They were both in fine form. I was looking forward to receiving a brown paper bag from David from Mordielli, but it didn't present itself on Tuesday night. But
you might ask him that whether he's saving it up for a Christmas present for you for tomorrow, Gelding.
Well, that's right, Professor. So we could have something there for him.
All right. Well, until tomorrow on Sportsfan Radio and next Saturday on That's Racing, it's good luck.